My brother flirts with everyone, even my girlfriend. When I called it out, my parents said it was just his personality. I am 22 years old, and my 18-year-old brother Lucas has been adopted. My parents saved him from an awful family when he was a child, so they were always very protective of him. And he was their favorite. I'm not trying to seem whiny. This is just the truth. This made me bitter toward Dad as I grew up. Even though Lucas is an adult who has recently started college, my parents still adore him. They prepared his meals and booked his doctor appointments till he moved out, which they did not do for me when I was his age. I don't think Lucas knows how to do laundry. They got him a new laptop for college, whereas I had to save for mine. They co-signed for his apartment, whilst I had to reside in the dorms with a random roommate who stole my belongings. Just small stuff like that. I met Jenny, a 21-year-old female at university, and have been together for nearly 3 years. She's incredibly nice, hilarious, and attractive, and we're quite close. We've discussed moving in together after graduation, and she's even shown an interest in marrying me eventually, despite the fact that we're plainly too young now. I really thought she was the one. We even have a ridiculous inside joke in which when one of us says, "So what are you thinking for dinner?" the other must respond, "I was thinking maybe you." And then we both giggle. It's ridiculous, but it's our thing. Lucas was accepted to the same institution as me, and while he might have gone to a better one, he received scholarships to 3 Ivy Leagues. Our parents compelled him to attend mine, believing that living in the same city would be safer and easier to visit. They did not even discuss it with me. They said, "Isn't it great that you two can spend more time together?" Despite the fact that we seldom hung together at home. I think my girlfriend Jenny is interested in Lucas, which tears my heart. It's probably my fault. When I was assisting Lucas with his class selection, as our parents had requested, his major overlapped with Jenny's. So I registered him for a few of hers. This is because, A, I didn't know what else to base it on, and B, if they're in the same class, I might visit them later and show Lucas about campus, or give him a ride to the grocery store, and still see my girlfriend. I never ever considered what may go wrong. The first day I went to see them after class, I introduced them, and we went to eat at this sandwich shop on campus. I realized they were getting along great. She laughed at his jokes, quizzed him on random topics from their studies, and then amazed at how intelligent he was after he learned the answer. Don't get me wrong, Jenny was still considerably more all over me. So at the time, I assumed it was just her being her sweet self. She's kind to everyone. It's one of my favorite things about her. But as time passed, I found it increasingly difficult to bear their friendship. Lucas has a flirty style of engaging with others, yet he doesn't appear to notice. For example, when we had a friend gathering at our place, Lucas informed one of the ladies that she is so beautiful that if he saw her photo used to sell frames at the store, he would buy the entire shelf. But he seemed astonished when she asked him to go out with her later, and he declined. He exhibits this behavior with everyone, including other males, and now with Jenny. It drives me mad since no one else finds this conduct as scary as I do. But I'm sure if an ugly person acted like Lucas, my folks wouldn't think it as cute. I fucking hate how whenever Lucas meets someone new, they become instantly obsessed with him. It's been like our entire lives, and it's only because he has those awful dimples and that innocent puppy dog look that people want to protect him. Meanwhile, I'm just a boring, ordinary brother. Even during his welcome dinner with my friends, everyone gushed about how charming and witty he was, while I sat there like an idiot. The first thing that struck me was when we went to a restaurant since my parents were visiting and Jenny was invited. She mentioned how excellent her food was. Lucas asked if he might taste some, and she agreed. But instead of scooping some off her plate like a normal person, he gently tugged on her sleeve, placed her spoon into his mouth, and thanked her. She just giggled. Is it odd that I find that intimate? My girlfriend feeds my brother with her spoon? My parents simply thought it was cute. That's when I started noticing small details. Another time, we were at a bar. They let Lucas in since my friend works there, despite the fact that he is under the age of 21. Jenny requested him to take a photo of us, but after taking one, he took another of just him and Jenny without asking me. He had one arm around her waist. She shared a snapshot of them together on Instagram with the words, "Science buddies," and a heart emoji. She did not make a post to one of us. After that, I started to notice more things, If she improves her appearance, Lucas will notice and compliment her. He quipped that if biology doesn't work out for her, she might always pursue a modeling career. I'd heard him spew this stuff to many girls, so I told Jenny it didn't mean anything. When I mentioned that, she seemed oddly dissatisfied. He's also invited us to hang out with him in the past, and even if I can't join them, he'll ask her to accompany just the two of them. Who in the hell asks their brother's girlfriend to hang out alone? He texted her once to see if she wanted to get lunch because he was near her apartment. She agreed, despite our plans to watch a movie later. She was late for our plans since their lunch was too long, but she returned with a small gift he had purchased her. Nonetheless, she appeared really thrilled about it. Jenny has never stopped him. At first, she'd laughed dismissively, but it became evident that she was loving the attention. She started talking about him a lot, such humorous things he did in class, and asked him a few questions about his childhood. When the winter quarter began, they had some classes together, and for the first time, Jenny did not bother to invite me to any of hers. I used to sit in on at least one of her classes every week, even though I'm an economics major, simply to spend time with her, but she didn't bring it up this time. They would hang out together after class, without me. They had some inside jokes that I didn't understand. I once heard her call him Lab Rat as a nickname, and he called her Microscope, and they both laughed. When I questioned what it meant, Jenny simply replied, "Oh, it's just a stupid thing from class," and shifted the subject. When the three of us got together, she'd give him more and more attention, staring at him and smiling as if he was the nicest thing ever. I only hoped she would look at me as she used to. Jenny used to text me all the time before Lucas showed there, as if we were in regular conversation. Sometimes hours pass before she responds. But when I'm with her and Lucas texts, she responds immediately. I have checked her phone. I know it's bad, but I was getting anxious when I noticed they texted virtually every day. Nothing very romantic, but they communicate more than I expected. They email each other links to songs they believe the other will like. She doesn't do that with me anymore. One day, I overheard her and her friend in my apartment complaining. There are no men in our major with both brains and brawn. They're in STEM, so all the dudes in there are probably built like the Chicago bean. Jenny quietly replied, "That's not true. Just look at Lucas." I have to admit, I cried on my floor that night, literally sitting against the wall in my bedroom, crying. Jenny has told me I'm smart before, but never in the same appreciative tone she used with Lucas. And, as far as I know, she has never made such a comment about my body to any of her friends. The absolute worst thing occurred when our social group went to McDonald's. We were kidding about a flyer we saw on campus advertising for nude models who paid generously. Jenny suddenly stood in front of me and told Lucas he should sign up for it. Jenny and a few other friends had an uncomfortably drawn-out chat about my brother's body and how he would make an excellent sculpture subject. They worded it poorly, although jokingly, and how much he needs it. He had been job searching. They were saying things like, "You'd be perfect with your swimmer's build, and the class would love to draw your shoulders." Jenny persisted, saying, "Seriously, you'd make so much money," sincerely attempting to persuade him. Lucas kept saying no and citing solid reasons why he didn't want to, but Jenny kept pressuring him to apply. She and the others persisted until Lucas stopped answering. I just sat there like an idiot, eating my fries, while my girlfriend discussed how my brother would be an excellent nude model. I'm not a confrontational person, but during the car trip home, I discreetly stated that the entire talk was strange, and it made me uncomfortable to hear how badly my own girlfriend and her friends wanted my brother to be naked. Jenny and I are not serious people, and I said this in a light-hearted manner, but she seemed to take it seriously. She said that my claim was the stupidest thing she had ever heard. She explained that she was simply trying to be a good elder sister to Lucas, by assisting him in finding work. I told her that while I want him to get hired, I wouldn't push him to do OnlyFans or anything. She accused me of sexualizing an innocent job, which I can understand. But I informed her that Lucas was uncomfortable, and likely felt sexualized because they were making comments about specific portions of his body. She became defensive, stating she didn't mean it that way. We went back and forth about it for a while, neither raising our voices but both upset, and I ended up dropping her off at her house rather than taking her back to my apartment. After that, things were weird for a few days. She didn't text me as much. When she texted, she appeared aloof, sending shorter sentences than normal. I saw her on campus with Lucas once, sitting on a bench conversing, but I didn't approach them. I watched from a distance for a minute before leaving. I'll also admit that since Lucas moved here, I've tried to be an especially wonderful boyfriend for Jenny. If Lucas admired her hair, I'd purchase her an expensive hair product to compliment her even more. I've always indulged her, but I stepped it up a notch when I felt competitive. Last month I spent about $200 on concert tickets after Lucas mentioned enjoying the same band she liked. I know that was a far more retrograde approach to dealing with my fears than simply talking to Lucas, or Jenny. But I didn't want to accept that I'm jealous of Lucas, like I had to do when we were youngsters. I just want one part of my life that is mine, that offers me undivided love and care, and I believe Jenny was the one for me. Now, anytime she mentions Lucas or I think about them in class, I get physically uncomfortable. It is driving me mad. That is to say, the day following the semi-argument, I felt insecure, and texted Jenny an apology. Then I recommended that we go to a nearby lake town, which she had wanted to do for a year. She already had a plan for what she intended to do there. She was overjoyed because I had always been too busy with academics and my part-time work. She chose a weekend, and we spent the previous week planning, deciding on activities and packing, while she booked us a hotel room. She had all of these ideas. She appeared to be enjoying herself as she planned everything. For a brief period, everything felt normal, as it had been before Lucas arrived. When she mentioned buying the ice cream, she got an ecstatic look in her eyes, and when I joked about getting a king bed at the hotel, she blushed like she had when we first started dating. That was nice. But before we left on Friday, she asked me a question that devastated me. She asked if we could bring Lucas. No other friends. She did not ask whether we could make it a group activity. She begged for just Lucas to come. I asked her why we would bring my younger brother when it was meant to be romantic, just the two of us. She stated that the three of us are often hanging together, and she told Lucas about the lake and encouraged him to go before, so it would be impolite not to include him. I just stood there, shocked. She wanted to invite Lucas on our romantic holiday, which she had been planning for a year. I asked her if she was joking, and she said no. She thought it would be enjoyable with him there as well. She mentioned that he had been feeling lonely recently, and could use the trip. When I questioned where he'd sleep, she answered, "I mean, obviously we'd need to get a room with 2 beds then." As if I was being stupid. So she was not only inviting him, but she was really suggesting that we adjust our sleeping arrangements from sharing a bed to not sharing a bed in order to accommodate him. After holding everything in for so long, I finally vented my frustration at her. I told her how upset the two of them made me, and how I felt like a third wheel whenever there were 3 of us. I mentioned the flirtation, the chat I overheard, and even briefly mentioned how my parents did the same thing to me. Admittedly, they have nothing to do with her, but I told her I was sick of being someone's second favorite. I told her she seemed more interested in spending time with Lucas than with me. I mentioned how she was late for our plans because she had lunch with him, how she lights up when he texts her, and how she always laughs louder at his jokes than my own. I questioned her directly if she had feelings for him. I don't believe I've ever been that blunt or combative with someone in my life. She responded by stating I was exaggerating, as if I was pretending she cheated when she didn't. I've never accused her of cheating. She claimed that all of their encounters had been platonic, and she went on to give her side of the story, making me feel bad for becoming so upset. She claimed I was being paranoid, and that nothing was going on between them. She said they were just friends, and she was trying to be nice to him since he was my brother, and she understands the value of family. But I apologized and informed her I wouldn't be going to the lake with her anymore, which irritated her. She mentioned the hotel and a few other places she had reserved times with, would charge her a cancellation fee, but I didn't mind. She burst into tears and told me I was overreacting. I simply couldn't do it anymore. The notion of watching her smile at Lucas for the entire weekend while I pretended everything was fine, was too much. I left her apartment and drove home without saying anything more. This occurred about a week ago, and I have not seen them since. Lucas texted me, asking for a one-on-one conversation. I guess Jenny informed him of our fight, but I blocked him. My parents called to ask why I wasn't talking to Lucas, and I made up an excuse about being too busy with studies. They appeared suspicious, but didn't pursue it. Jenny texted me the next day, asking if we could talk, and I didn't respond. She sent several more messages over the next few days, but I couldn't bring myself to respond. I saw her across campus once and hid in a building to avoid her. I realize that's silly, but I couldn't face her yet. Do I truly believe Lucas is interested in Jenny? He's undoubtedly been sheltered as hell by my parents and doesn't know any better. But, do I believe Jenny likes him? Yes. But I still adore her so much. I can't quit thinking about her. We'd been dating for 3 years, and everything was going great until Lucas showed up. But what if I am wrong? What if she merely considers him a good friend? In their defense, I've never instructed Lucas to stop flirting or stated to Jenny that her friendship with him bothers me. I also put them in the same classes and introduced them. Perhaps this is entirely my fault for being so insecure. So why did she have to invite him on our romantic getaway? I honestly don't know what to do. Update. A lot of you were severe on my attitude toward Lucas, which I suppose I deserved. However, some of you do not comprehend what it is like to grow up with someone who is always the focus of attention. And to those who claim I'm making this whole thing up, I fucking wish I was. Anyway, here's an update on what happened with my 22-year-old girlfriend, 21 female, and adoptive brother, 18 male. I attempted to keep track of events as they occurred, but I apologize if this message is still lengthy and confusing. Since my last post, a lot has happened, but the most of it has been conversations rather than spectacular happenings. Clarifying things from comments. I blocked my brother because I was mad at him for causing all of this. I didn't explain why, simply blocked his number. Juniors can take coursework with freshmen at my institution. There are pathways to graduation, but you can complete them at your own leisure. Jenny is enrolled in a 5-year program, therefore she is now studying lower-level classes that she did not have time for previously. My girlfriend never told my brother to do OnlyFans. I just brought it up as a parallel to the model issue. Some folks in the comments assumed she actually proposed that, which is incorrect. Why did I not think Lucas liked Jenny? I despised the way he treated her, but it was nothing compared to what he does with his high school friends. He's just a really physical person, which I believe stems from his past. My parents once told me that when they first acquired him, he refused to let anyone touch him. And now he's gone in the opposite direction. Sorry for offending you in STEM. I was simply making a joke. I am sure some of you are built like Greek gods. On to the update. After going through many of your comments, I understood that I wanted to at least hear Lucas out before leaping to conclusions. So I unblocked him and texted him to see if he still wanted to talk. He agreed straight away, and we met at an off-campus coffee shop where we wouldn't run across anyone we knew. Lucas texted me because Jenny asked him about my background, and something she said made him assume I was upset with him. She had noticed that I had been upset lately and wondered whether it had anything to do with how our parents treated us growing up. Lucas said he assumed I'd been avoiding him, which I had, but didn't understand why. I asked him straight up if he liked Jenny, and he answered no. He claimed he agreed to go to the lake because he assumed I was the one who wanted him to come. Jenny had apparently informed him that we were arranging this vacation, and inquired as to if he was available that weekend. He assumed she meant that we both wanted him there. I wanted to read their texts, which I understand is a violation of privacy, but I was desperate. He hesitated before agreeing, which surprised me. We sat for almost 20 minutes as I scrolled through their communication history. The texts were not particularly explicit, but they still felt close. Jenny gave him compliments, affirmations, and nicknames, and she spoke to him in a caring manner that made me feel special to her. She was constantly asking Lucas for help with academics, fascinated on his intelligence. He's quite intelligent, I'll admit. She informed him about her future goals and sought his counsel on one of her most difficult difficulties, family matters she had only previously addressed with me. There was nothing that suggested adultery, yet I still felt deceived. She emailed him memes virtually every day. She was constantly asking him about his day. She even texted him a selfie once, wondering if her new haircut was good. He said it did. They discussed their classes, professors, and assignments, as well as more personal topics, such as their childhoods and future anxieties. I noticed a message from her that stated, "You understand me in a way most people don't," and it made my stomach turn. I assumed I was the one who understood her best. Lucas's texts were largely jokes, and the affectionate ones were just messages he sent to our mother, such as, "Miss you," or, "You're the best," with heart emojis. I trusted him at this point, so I attempted to describe how they made me feel. He apologized excessively and promised to cease talking to Jenny. He told me he had his own crush and suggested I invite her out on a weekend trip to get back at him. Lucas explained that he was just wanting to get friends with my buddies so that I would hang out with him beyond just giving him rides. He stated he didn't have many friends here because he was new to the school, and since I already had a friend group, he was attempting to join in with them. He wondered if I blocked him because I didn't like him, and it was difficult to explain that while I don't like him, that doesn't mean I don't love him. I tried to justify my hatred by pointing out our parents' partiality, and Lucas said something like, "You're correct. They seem to like me more. Perhaps you're adopted." He's never taken it seriously. We both laughed it off. I asked Lucas to characterize Jenny's interactions with him, and from what I could tell, Jenny and her companion frequently commented on his appearance, knew he went to the gym on a regular basis, and paid him a few visits while he was working out. Jenny routinely gave him rides and urged that he drink at her apartment, which he had never done before. He didn't tell me sooner because he has no idea whether behaviors are acceptable or not. No shit. And assumed Jenny simply wanted to be his friend. He mentioned that they were studying together in the library, and she rested her head on his shoulder when she got sleepy. When they met at the mall again, she assisted him in selecting clothing. He claimed she was always caressing his arm while they talked, and she once fixed his collar before a presentation. Little things that don't necessarily cross a line, but when combined, present an unfavorable picture. I gave him a crash lesson on relationship boundaries and why neither of their actions was acceptable, and I encouraged him to stop flirting with everyone. Lucas stated that he simply tries to treat women as he does males, but promised to attempt to change his conduct. He appeared really apologetic and promised to be more cautious in the future, particularly with my friends and girlfriends. After conversing with Lucas, I decided I needed to hear Jenny's side as well. We texted back and forth for a while before deciding to meet. I had a couple conversations with Jenny that I will condense into one. When we finally met in person in a park near her apartment, she appeared to have not slept well, which made me feel bad and validated at the same time. She claimed that when we had our dispute over the lake, my fury came out of nowhere, and she was afraid because I appeared to be accusing her of cheating. She admitted she had no idea I was feeling this way and wished I had mentioned it sooner. She apologized for being close to Lucas, but reminded me that I'd never discussed my history with him. She stated she believed I would be pleased with how well they got along. I apologized for not communicating. When I mentioned the texts, Jenny opened their DMs so I could point out the one that concerned me, but I couldn't explain why. When I asked why she invited Lucas on the vacation, she explained that she stated we had plans to go, and Lucas appeared eager. She stated she was simply being kind by including him. However, she showed me texts in which Lucas requested if he could come over, not the other way around as he claimed. She denied ever visiting him at the gym or commenting on his appearance other than the usual compliments you'd give a buddy. She agreed they had become close, but said it was only platonic, and that she considered him as a younger brother figure. She stated that she had been making an effort with him because she understood how important family was to me, even if I had moaned about him on occasion. Jenny threatened to cut him off if this disturbed me, but I told her we needed a break because whether Lucas's interest was genuine or not, I believed it. She burst into tears when I said break, and inquired as to whether I meant to split up. I stated I didn't know yet, but I wanted some time to consider. She was quite emotional, but she soon realized that it was my problem, not something she did. She congratulated me for being honest with her and encouraged my desire to work on my fears. There was a lot of back and forth between the two of them that I haven't included, and I was fatigued by this time. Their stories didn't match, and I wasn't sure who to believe. Part of me wanted to trust Jenny because I adore her, but another part of me felt as if I had witnessed the indications firsthand. But when I asked Lucas about the discrepancies in their claims, he appeared apprehensive. He stood by his words and indicated Jenny may have skipped class to meet him at the gym. He did in fact go over to her apartment to drink, and when he explained what happened, his words were jumbled, and his story changed. First he said it was only him, Jenny, and a few others. Then he claimed there were maybe 10 individuals there. Then he indicated it was probably closer to 5 or 6. He was unable to keep the details straight. Lucas is a lousy liar, so I suspected this was a cover-up and insisted he tell me if he slept with Jenny. He became quite upset and denied it, although his face was glowing red. He said his memory was foggy because the others had given him too much beer, and he went on to say how he was so drunk that he puked up in the restroom. He said he only recalled bits of the night, that they played a drinking game, and that someone, he assumed Jenny, helped him to the restroom when he became ill. He claimed Jenny told him he could crash on her couch, but he insisted on going home, so someone drove him. I didn't quite believe him. I know what he says, and he seemed to be lying. I asked Jenny about it, and she said she didn't see him get sick, which makes sense because she's very responsible with alcohol, and I doubt she'd let someone she cares about overdo it. She said he drank maybe 3 drinks total and appeared fine when he left. Definitely not blackout drunk as he claimed. I'm not sure why they'd tell me about this in the first place, but I'm beginning to suspect that they slept together inebriated, and are now unable to recount their story straight. Lucas significantly reduced his affectionate flirty conduct with several of his friends the other day, which appears to be an attempt to demonstrate to me that he can listen to my advice. I observed him talking to one of his pals, and he kept a decent gap between them, not touching them once. But I have a feeling he wouldn't listen to me as much if he wasn't feeling bad, which almost makes me believe he had sex with Jenny. I said some terrible things to him when we were alone, but I regret it now since I was probably overthinking. It would be extremely out of character for both of them to have an affair, as Jenny was always loyal before this nonsense and Lucas has never cared about dating. I kind of want Lucas to send Jenny a mock wanna go out text to check if she's lying about her affections for him. But if she says yes, I will feel like an ass. And even if she says no, I'm not sure if she's being honest or just saying that because she knows he won't be interested. I'm weary of feeling suspicious, and Jenny's absence has been odd for me. Now I simply feel divorced from reality. I have not been sleeping well. I keep checking my phone for a text from her, only to discover we're on break and feel terrible all over again. I considered contacting the others from the drinking night to hear their stories, but I also want to focus on other things right now. I suppose I'll heed the comment's suggestion and seek counseling. It's been a terrible few weeks since everything happened. My parents called yesterday and asked why Lucas was so down, and I had to lie and claim I had no idea. I'm not sure who to believe anymore, or whether I'm just making it all up in my head because of my troubles with Lucas. I think that's it for now. I might blog again if something big happens, but for the time being, I'm just trying to get through the day. Thank you for reading this far if you did.